This is Minutia Man with Rick and Dave.
Different on your foot.
No, it's the same boot, but I just want you to know what I'm going through to do this show, right? So last show, I told everybody I have a broken ankle,
right?
Which I do. I also apparently did not know this, have a broken tibia,
which is the leg.
Which is the leg.
So you have a broken leg.
A broken leg and a broken ankle.
Yeah.
And it's also broken a little bit in the front of my foot.
Just a smidge?
Just a smidge. They're all three of them are just little cracks.
Okay.
You know, but
so that basically they're nothing, and you're
nothing. Yeah.
So it's just like a bruise. Basically, you bruised yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was talking to Bridget.
Yeah.
And she at the book signing that we went to last week. That's basically what she said.
The one that she was yelling at me for walking around. Yeah. Right. No, this is a heroic effort, and all I want is a little bit of credit.
Okay, I appreciate everything you did, and the buffet that you set up beforehand.
Yeah,
only 3 different types of pastries, so I get it.
Okay,
you know, it's fine.
I'm scaling back a little bit. It's time for Minutia Man.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Man with Rick and Dave.
So when you came back so I assume you went to the doctor and they did another scan or whatever.
A CAT scan or CT scan, whatever it's called.
And did they, when you came back with the news, I suspect your family was extremely compassionate.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it make any difference whatsoever?
No. But I will say that the doctor was encouraging. He said, it'd be about 4 to 6 weeks in this boot. And the only problem about the boot, honestly, is sleeping. It's like sleeping with a ski boot on.
So you have to keep it on while you're...
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't take it off.
I got some Ambien in the car if you want it.
I could use it.
I think this might be a great time for you to get addicted to sleeping pills.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I've been looking forward to that time when it will work
I
for
think
me.
we've just arrived at it. You know what else we've just arrived at? The start of our show.
Okay.
That's called a segue.
I saw that.
Is it a segue or a seg? It'd be a segue. What's the difference between
I think seg is a short version of segue. Yes.
Right. Well, this is popular culture, and as you know, we're very hip.
Yes, we are.
The Hawk Tua girls. You know who the Hawk Tua girl is, right?
Isn't it Hawk Tua?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hawk. Okay. Yeah. I have to do the actual Hawk.
Yeah.
Well, she has a podcast now.
Does she?
Called Talk Tua. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
And it has become the 3rd most popular podcast on Spotify.
Oh, that's just so depressing.
Haley Welsh.
That is so depressing.
Haley Welsh, also known as the girl, shot. Now that's fun. Now that that shot to the internet fame, seemingly overnight, thanks to a viral video. Of course, everybody knows what this video is, and if you don't, then you're just not hip enough for our show.
Yeah,
has become the 3rd. Like I said, the 3rd most popular podcast on Spotify. In her first episode, she explains how tensor calculus is used in general relativity and how it's applied to space-time and Einstein's field equations.
I don't think that's true.
1 million downloads. Okay. Rivaling Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson.
Wow.
The unbelievable part of this is, how is Tucker Carlson number 2?
I know.
Yeah. Who is listening to Tucker Carlson? So I was doing a little research about Tucker Carlson and his podcast, trying to find some ridiculous things he said, but I didn't want to get political. Right. So I'm like, I'm going to let the comedians do this.
Okay.
So I found a video of Seth Meyers doing a bit on Tucker Carlson, which I think is very, very funny.
Okay, and I think the one thing you have to know is this is after Tucker had done a
thing on M&Ms.
On M&Ms.
How M&Ms are they're changing. They were changing the logo, or they're changing the characters,
to
make them
less sexy.
Okay, right,
less sexy, and that really upset Tucker Carlson. And here is Seth Meyers' impersonation of Tucker Carlson talking about this subject.
This used to be a country where you could get aroused by candy, where you, a hot-blooded youth, could be watching TV with your girlfriend, and the green M&M would come on screen with her full lips and her tantalizing white boots, and you'd have to excuse yourself to take a cold shower or go for a long bike ride, and The next morning, your girlfriend would say, "Are you okay? You seem distant." And you wouldn't have the heart to tell her that you were distant because you no longer felt any attraction to her dull, flesh-colored human face. As you now realized a truth that is self-evident, pure sexuality comes in a green, button-shaped package with an alluring candy shell. So instead, you'd say everything's fine, sweetie, and you'd drive to work, but you'd stop at the convenience store to buy a paper, you would tell yourself. But once inside, you'd also grab a bag of candy, and you'd walk to the register, praying that bag wouldn't slip out of your sweat-soaked palms. And when you paid, hands shaking and breath quick, the cashier would look at you and give you a knowing nod, because as an American man, he understood what you wanted. A piece of candy. And I'm sorry to say, we don't live in that country anymore.
That's Seth Meyers. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Had the cadence down very well.
Yeah.
The vocabulary and
yeah.
That's
well, boy, I miss Tucker.
What is your favorite M&M? Are you a peanut or a?
No, I'm a plain M&M.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a C.
You're a peanut guy?
I'm a peanut guy. Have you tried the M&Ms with the little pretzels in the middle?
Yeah, they're okay.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, are there some that have caramel too? Yeah,
Probably.
I've never tried those.
Probably.
All right, I have a story for you, Dave. I don't know if you heard about this, if you follow sports at all. But the Chicago White Sox just ended the season as the worst team in Major League history ever. You know, but don't feel bad because history's only been around. Baseball's only 150 years-ish.
Yeah, right.
So in 150 years of playing baseball, there has never been a team worse than the 2024 Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
They are the best at being the worst.
And that is fine with me.
And now I bring this up because, of course, Dave is a huge White Sox fan. And we don't really talk about this much anymore. This used to be like one of our major shticks. Now that we both won the World Series,
It doesn't matter anymore.
doesn't have the same impact.
Right.
But going back to the very beginning of our friendship, when we were in college, you and my friend Stu laid down the gauntlet for this White Sox Cubs thing.
Yeah.
On the day that Steve Garvey hit a home run to drive a stake in the heart of Chicago Cubs fans everywhere.
Me and Stu high-fived each other right over your head.
Right over my head.
Yeah.
Which turned me into a bitter man. A bitter man that is now just craving your sadness. I just wanted to see you cry, and you're not giving it to me.
Well, and here's part of the reason. Early on in the season, it was apparent. I mean, they went, 3-19 or something. I knew this was not going to be the year. So this cleared my entire summer of wasting baseball.
Yeah, that's true.
And what I did is I discovered the great poets.
Is that right?
Like Keats and Browning and Wordsworth. And I really connected with my wife. So we're now in the times that I would be watching the White Sox, we're gazing into each other's eyes and we're reading poetries like Ode to Nightingale. Okay.
Sure. Who doesn't know that one?
Keats and Sonnets from the Portuguese, which we have I love. That's, of course, that's Elizabeth.
What about Ode to a Grecian Urn? You didn't do that one?
No, I don't. No, but I will for next season because I'm going to have time. So again, while you were watching your 3 games over 500 Cubs,
four
games over
500,
and being so immersed,
and almost playoff team,
right? It's like, if we would have just won 16 more games or whatever, and I have accomplished so much more this year than you have.
That's true.
What did you get out of it?
Well, here's a couple things I got out of it. I went back and checked the 1962 Mets, who had the record before, versus the 2024 White Sox.
And we should set this up is that the 1962 Mets, in order for them to get their team, they got the 3 worst players of every team that was in them, of every other team.
Right.
They're like, here, so Kempfer, Stern, you're going to the Mets, right?
It was an expansion year.
Right.
So it was their first year ever of being a baseball team.
And they had the schlubs of everybody else.
The worst.
The worst. And they have a better record than the White Sox.
Their team batting average, this is how bad they were. Their team batting average was 240, which is terrible.
What are the White Sox?
220. Over the season, This year's White Sox were outscored by over 300 runs. 300 runs. Yeah. All right, the home run leader.
Yeah, but did the 62 Mets have that milkshake?
The home run leader of the 1962 Mets, Frank Thomas, had 34 homers. Right. So they had one guy. Right. The home run leader on the 2024 White Sox, right? 19.
Was it Vaughn or
Andrew Vaughn and Andrew Benintendi? All the Andrews.
Well, that's a $23 million a year contract.
That's the 1962 Mets had the wins leader of the pitchers was Roger Craig with 10. He had 10 wins.
We don't have it.
No, your wins leader, he's had 6. Eric Fetty or something like that.
Yeah, Fetty. Yeah.
He's got 7.
Okay. Right.
So that's the best on the entire team for a 162 game season.
What are you getting at here? I don't see the point of that.
We're just talking. Okay. The longest losing streak the 1962 Mets ever had was 13 games in a row.
We had 21, right? No.
Well, you set the franchise record by losing 14 in a row.
Okay.
And then you set the all-time league record by losing 21 in a row.
That's what,
which is also the worst losing streak of all time.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But here's one thing that will make you feel a little better.
Yeah.
The number of ex-Cubs on the 1962 Mets.
Okay.
10. There were 10.
Okay.
So that kind of contributed to the Mets sucking that year.
Did the Sox have any ex-Cubs?
1.
So who would it be? It would be... I don't even know.
Can you name it?
I don't even know.
It's Martin Maldonado.
So I would be... I teach Wednesday nights, and on the way home, I would flick on the White Sox game,
Yeah, sure.
I would not know which team was batting.
Right.
Because I had not heard of any of the players.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that our guy?
Well, I kind of can commiserate with you on this level. If you look at the books that have been released by me as a writer, and then look at what the Cubs record was the year before, you'll notice... that there is a correlation.
The crappy years and accomplishments, right?
There is a correlation between those two things.
So is there a new... Well, no, because they were good this year enough that...
Yeah, 4 games over.
Right. Were you in it... Like you personally were in it till what? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
So every game?
Yeah.
So what? 3 hours? What is it? 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Times 100. How many games did you see?
I probably 100.
Oh my God! So
great use of my time.
So 250 hours.
Yeah.
All right. And what did you get out of that?
4 games over 500, Dave.
And how many new players do you have to add to the new every Cub ever?
God, so many. Yeah. So many.
No. We appreciate your effort.
Yeah, well, thank you.
We got a review.
Okay.
This is for our celebrity show. Minutia Man Celebrity Interview Podcast is like a wild ride through Hollywood's backstreets. Where you get the inside scoop on both childhood fame and drug-fueled mishaps. So I wonder...
Wow.
Was it Danny Bonaducci maybe they're referring to, maybe?
Tony DeFranco?
Well, he did not have the drug-fueled mishaps.
Huh.
Did Zach Ward from... I'm trying to think other...
I don't know.
Robbie Risk, Cousin Oliver.
Well, I think people have to listen to all of the interviews
all the
to find
kid
out.
Actors.
And actually, funny that you mentioned that because I actually have a story today in Studio Walls that does tie in a bit to that.
Okay.
And it's time for that feature right now.
Time now for Studio Walls.
And the words of the prophets were written on the studio walls.
So this week is Amy Landecker's birthday.
Yeah.
And Amy is someone that I've known for many years because I was a producer of her father's show. But she is a big-time Hollywood star now. She's been in films. She's been in Coen Brothers movies. She was in Transparent, which won tons of Emmys.
Yeah.
She's married to Bradley Whitford. She's a big deal, and we of course had a chance to talk to her on the show. Now, one of the things that we talked to her about is her dad. Because he's a good pal of mine, and I heard these stories while I was producing his show
from his side, right?
So let's just you know what? This is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to play it for you. You probably don't realize this, but you made a giant contribution to your dad's book. Records Truly is my middle name, available at Eckhart's Press. It was my job to get the stories out of him, because, as you know, over the years, a synapse or two may have left. And as his producer, I heard all of his stories all those years, so I knew what questions to ask him. But some of the best stories were because of you, where we went to Jamaica for a week, and you told me some stories about your childhood with John, which were unbelievable. And I think people don't understand, where you come from. Could you tell the story of the time you guys went to Bermuda, which I think it was Bermuda.
You mean the Bahamas.
Bahamas, yes.
Yep.
Shortly after your parents' divorce. Tell that story, because that's unbelievable.
So my dad, if you read his book, I'm not saying anything that, you can't find and that's published.
Right.
Was a big partier back in the day. He actually has heroically been sober for, God, it's got to be almost 30 years. And God bless it. Best thing that he ever did. But he was a big partier, and he was single, and he was successful. And he was taking me and my sister on a vacation, and specifically went to this travel agency and said, I want you to find, I don't want to party. I just want to be with my kids. I don't want any nightlife. I want to just be, super low key. So they find this very remote, tiny island in the Bahamas. It still to this day just cracks me up. Where, everyone's just in little houses. I don't think there was even a big hotel or anything.
They said they didn't have phones in the room. It was like that.
Yeah,
remote.
I think that's probably right. I mean, it was just completely disconnected, right? It was just be with your kids. But you would go to this, there was one restaurant where everyone went for dinner. And it turns out that on this remote little island, there was a photo shoot for, I think it was British Playboy. Oh dear, to say that we didn't get the little lovely family vacation. By the end of it, there was two models who were basically living with us. One that he was dating, and then her best friend, Marilyn, and I think her friend's name was Peter, which is unusual. But they were not doing. They were doing illegal. It was not good. It was not good. Marilyn was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. I still remember her. I mean, I was this little kid, and she had black leather pants, and a I think it was a Harley T-shirt or something, and she just was, and I'm sorry to share bad parenting. My dad will be really mad at me, but he was just even her boobs are tan, which you should know.
I was one time I was in the office with your dad, and he was screaming into the phone, and he ended the conversation with "tough titties," and he hung up the phone. Yeah. I said, "What? Who was that?" He goes, "Oh, it's my daughter."
Yeah. I mean, my dad is a complicated parent. I've always enjoyed him, but it doesn't. I've certainly had some therapy around it. There's no doubt about that. But he's lovely. But yeah, he's
the thing about this story, though. It doesn't end there, because then you went to the airport on your way home. Do you remember this part of the story?
No. What happened there?
And he said that as you were there at the airport waiting to come home, somebody goes up to him and says, "Hey, man, there was a plane crash, and the plane was supposedly completely full of pot."
No.
You don't remember this?
No.
And didn't they hunt through the jungle for it or something?
So yeah, he talked somebody there in the airport to stay there with you two. And he went with this guy into the jungle looking for this plane of pot.
Whoa! Well, was that in the book?
Yeah.
See, it's funny because my dad keeps asking me about reading the book, and here's the truth: I skimmed it, but it's kind of hard to read something that you lived. It's not.
I get
it.
Yeah.
So I actually don't remember that at all, which is really kind of horrifying.
Well, that's good. That's good that you don't remember it.
Well, it's on page 177 if you want to.
Surprise me. I mean, it doesn't totally surprise me. He had a dealer in Lincoln Park, and we would wait in the car while this was the 70s and the 80s, and everyone was doing all kinds of stuff. And he was also, incredibly young. But yeah, I always thought that like joints were cigarettes when I was growing up. I didn't know it was, I mean, that's how he smoked them.
Yeah.
You know, like just all day, you know. I mean, I remember the like seeds in the you know, the strainer, you know.
You know, like us, Dave. It was just like our childhood growing up. Our parents are more like your grandfather. You know, they're these Germans, you know, off the boat from Germany. And so, you know, these kind of childhood stories are fascinating for us.
Yeah, no, this was definitely a very like rock and roll hippie childhood for sure. You know, and I you know, I don't think it's the, you know, it's not exemplary parenting, but I will say my dad's always been just one of the most loving, kind people in my life. So despite, I would say, sort of like the negligence of kind of an extreme kind at times. But he was never like an aggressive, angry drug person, right. To me and my sister. So I didn't have, and if anything, the problem was that it all looked really good to me. Yeah, you know. Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, he was a huge star in Chicago. He was a huge star at a very young age.
Yes, I mean, and he had access to, I mean, you know, everything and everybody, and he had a job that was like at nighttime hours.
Yeah,
and, you know, the whole thing was, and it was like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know, that's what was going on. So. But yeah, it was colorful. I didn't know about the pot play.
Well, the story is in the book if you want to read about it. I feel bad for telling you that story. There she is, Amy Landecker.
Yeah, that's
she's the best. She's really talented. I remember when I was John's producer, and she was still acting in Chicago at that time, and we would go to these plays. And they were like in basements, you know, there were like chairs set up. There were like 12 people there, and they'd do these performances. And John went to every single one of them. Every single one of them. He really loves his daughters. And I know that story is you know, maybe not the greatest, but, you know, there it is. Actually,
everything turned out fine.
After this interview, he did call me up. He's like, "You really had to tell that one on this?" But you know what? It's in the book,
right?
It's in the book that I co-wrote with it.
Yeah. Well, that's hilarious that he doesn't. I mean, he obviously remembered the story because he told you.
Yeah.
And well, wasn't he? I mean, we could put out another book with all the stories that he forgot to tell.
I know.
Like the time he hung out with Barack Obama or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know. We were at a book signing, right? And he just casually starts talking about this. I'm like, whoa, hold! You met the president and you didn't even mention it.
Well, thank you. Hey, here's kind of I'm going to move this into our father talk in a second.
Oh, okay.
This is a father video in a sense. You ever been to Portland?
No, never have.
But it's I guess it's kind of a odd place.
Yeah, it's like a hippie. Yeah, it's like Austin, Texas. I think.
A few days ago, comedian Taylor Tomlinson, and I've actually seen her stuff. Do you ever get when you're on like Facebook and you get the little reels that pop up?
Yeah.
She's always on there. She's a very, very funny woman. But she was doing a gig in Portland. And somehow she was talking to an audience member. And I just want to play the video and you'll get what I'm talking about.
Here we go.
Dad's a bong.
Your dad's a what?
A bong.
A bong? Oh, your dad's ashes are in a bong?
No, they are made into a bong.
They were made into a bong?
Yeah.
God, we are in Portland, aren't we? Put me in this room right now and we're like, we won't tell you. If you had put a sack over my head, put me in a big suitcase, driven me around for 3 days, put me on this stage and been like, guess where you are? And I had heard they turned my dad's ashes into a bong, I'd be like, Portland, Oregon. Was your dad a big weed guy?
He was a stoner my whole life, and I never got high with him because I didn't do drugs until I was 29. I died when I was 23. I never got to smoke with my dad, so I turned him into a bong. So I could smoke with my dad.
Again, if you don't like this story, you've had it too good. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. Pixar movie.
There she is.
Just great. So it kind of made me wonder, what would you do? You don't have.
Boy, that does tie into the Landecker story
right,
perfectly.
Right.
And you didn't even know I was going to do that.
What would you do at Eckhart? Eckhart, your dad died.
Yeah.
When you were 22, 3,
24, yeah.
But, he was buried, correct?
Right.
What would you have done with his ashes?
Boy, I have no idea.
With Fritz's, I'd probably somehow tribute. He used to eat large sandwiches. Lard, not large, but large.
Oh, yeah, my dad did too.
Yeah.
Huh. And they're not with
Wonder
us.
why they died at age, 58 or whatever. So I'd have to make some sort of Fritz lard spread or something with it. Because he didn't really drink. Your dad.
Yeah,
So you could have made wine out of your dad's ashes.
Or, I was thinking maybe you spread it over the soccer field or something.
All
like
right,
that.
yeah. But no, that's, you got to have what object would you, like when my dad, so my sister told me this just a couple of, months ago. The doctor, toward the end of my dad's life, said, you got to stay away from cigarettes.
Right.
So he bought a cigarette holder. That was like 3 inches away.
See, it's further away.
Exactly.
Staying away from it.
Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, who's laughing now, Dad? Hey, Dad, did you enjoy my grammar school graduation? No, you didn't. You were dead.
Wow, we're really tapping into some stuff here today. I have a story that's a little more upbeat.
Is it better? Yeah.
A little more upbeat.
Well, yeah, it's a Hitler. I see Hitler on the number.
Yeah, Dave, extremists are using artificial intelligence to reanimate Adolf Hitler online for a new generation, recasting the Nazi German leader who orchestrated the Holocaust as a misunderstood figure whose anti-Semitic and anti-immigrant messages are freshly resonant in politics today.
Course.
And we're hearing stuff,
without question.
Whatever.
It's the playbook. Yeah. It's using one of the candidates.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the word.
Say.
But he's a he.
Well,
is using Hitler's.
In audio and video clips that have reached millions of viewers over the past month on TikTok, X, Instagram, and YouTube, the Führer's AI cloned voice quavers and crescendos as he delivers English language versions. So it's translated into English of some of his most notorious addresses, including his 1939 Reichstag speech. I almost said speech. Predicting the end of the Jewish people in Europe, which, not good. Not good. The posts, which make use of cheap and popular AI voice cloning tools, have drawn praise in the comments on X and TikTok, such as, I miss you, Uncle A. He was my hero, and maybe he is not a villain. Is that horrific?
Yeah.
Now, I've seen a couple of these videos, and I kind of understand how he doesn't come off quite as badly as he used to. Let's just play one for you. And, apologize in advance to everybody for, platforming Adolf Hitler. Okay. But I'm doing it just to describe to you what it's like. Okay. Here we go.
Heil, honey.
Heil, honey.
Heil, honey.
Heil, honey.
Heil, honey.
Hello.
I'm home. Heil, honey.
Heil, honey.
Smile, honey. Because I'm home. Gee, it's great to be Top Gun, but it's nothing like the fun that I get when I say Heil, honey, I am home. Heil, honey.
Heil, honey.
Smile, honey. Gee, it's great to be back. Heil, honey, I'm home.
I'm home.
Heil, honey, me.
What did I do now? Oh, tonight you were making schnitzel. What a jerk. You must be real mad at me, honey. I'm a very, very bad Hitler. Come here, babe.
Don't touch me. You've been late for your dinner every night this week.
Ava, babe, please. I'm the Führer. I'm a busy man. I can't just walk off the job at 5 o'clock.
On Monday, you had to meet with Goebbels. On Tuesday, von Ribbentrop. On Wednesday, Klaus Katzenjammer. Who's Klaus Katzenjammer?
He's my tailor. You should see the tux, honey.
You see, everyone's more important than Ava. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Schickelgruber. You may be big stuff in Germany, but I knew you and you were just a house painter.
There we go.
That is from an actual sitcom.
It is.
That lasted one episode. Heil, honey, I think we played this before.
Yeah, we have.
It's
Heil, honey, I'm home is the name of the show.
And it's, if I remember correctly, they live in like an apartment building, right? And their neighbors are Jewish.
Right.
Ethel and whatever.
Like the Golden Blooms or something. It is the most bad taste thing. It's so bad taste that even Dave and I wouldn't have done it. That's how bad it is.
Well, so I reached out to the guy who played Hitler.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Right.
And I started a correspondence with him. Hey, I got this podcast. We're talking. He's like, yeah, sure. That'd be great. Whatever. And I'm like, we're going to talk about this. He's like, nope. He's like, I'm like, well, really, I'm looking at your IMDb here. You don't really have anything else here.
Yeah.
This is kind of why, nope. No, thank you.
How about that one Matlock episode you were in?
Right. I was crook number 3. I'm like, nope. It's Hitler or nothing, buddy.
All right. We got time for one more feature.
A random name pulled out of Rurik's bowl of brushes with celebrities. Mixture, collection, selection, assemblage, medley, assortment, variety. Time now for Celebrity Potpourri with Rick and Dave.
So I think you're going to like this one, Dave. All right, this comes to us from Mrs. Fancy Pants.
Oh.
No name given. And I think you'll understand why.
Okay.
Here. All right. So this is not like your other celebrity stories, but I think it qualifies. I'll let you decide. I met a famous podcaster over the past year, and it's one of those stories about worlds colliding. My daughter is into acting and drama and singing, and she has performed in a bunch of plays over the past few years. One night after performance, I met one of the other parents named Dave. He was very charming and self-effacing, but I felt like I might have met him somewhere before.
Okay. On
the way home, it hit me. Minutia Man. That Dave is the same Dave that my husband and I listen to every week on this podcast.
Well, that's
I didn't say anything that night, and I haven't said anything in the 2 other times I could have mentioned it because that didn't feel right to bring it up. I'm sending this to you so that you can, so that I can find the courage to say something next time I meet you.
Oh, well,
love your show.
Please do,
Mrs. Fancy Pants.
Okay, Mrs. Fancy Pants. Tell me in advance, and I'll
Isn't that nice?
I'll have a Reuben for you or something, or.
Yeah. And we are out there. It's possible to meet us, and Dave in particular.
Well, we've got some book signings coming up.
We do.
We've got a new book coming out Eric's book will come out in a few weeks.
Yeah,
and then we'll keep you.
We'll tell you more.
Is it Miss Fancy Pants? It must be Mrs.
Mrs. Fancy Pants.
Okay.
All right. Well,
we'll tell you, and you'll be happy. We'll be happy to. Yes, please do.
So we have people to thank for the show.
I got 8x10 glosses that I can give you. I got mugs. I got whatever. You just give me a little thing, and I'll be happy to. Huggies.
Yeah. All right. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasana, with Opie Shows. Thank you, Tony, for everything. Also, thank you to Ed Silla with the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com.
She said I was charming.
She did. Yeah. And self-effacing. Yeah. We'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of
Minutia Man.
With a brand new episode of
Minutia Man.
With a brand new episode of
Minutia Man.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?